Excellency, the Vice President, that invited us to go and discuss and see how we can really solve this issue. At the end of the meeting, we resolved that they should take back feedback to His Excellency the President on what we had resolved. And that is how His Excellency the President again called us for another meeting. And this time the meeting was bigger. We had a bigger team. We have 178 branches in the whole country. Yeah. And the meeting was attended by all our branch chairpersons and National Executive Council members. The meeting was also attended by workers, members of Parliament. It was also attended by National Organization of Trade Unions. That's the labor center which we affiliate to. Mm-hmm. So when we went to meet His Excellency the President, we went with one slogan. Our slogan of UNAT was, no money, no class. When we reached His Excellency the President, he told us that no class, no negotiation. And the background was that runners have lost time during the COVID-19 and they are continuing to lose more time. So it was agreed that in order for us to negotiate and engage government on our issues, we need to save time of a runner as we discuss. And that's why I'm telling you that the labor union is really is supposed to negotiate. Even rebels discuss and talk with governments and reach a consensus. Who are we not to discuss, even when the law says we should discuss with government? So the suspension of the strike was as a result of the need to negotiate and agree on how we can resolve this issue. Mm-hmm. But most importantly, the government, the employer understood our issue, and there is commitment from government that our issues are going to be worked on. And to us, that is very, very, very important. Having understood and the commitment that our issues are going to be worked on. So what the public should really understand is that we are not supposed to work like the way political parties work, the way how rebels work. No. We're supposed to negotiate, and when we negotiate, then we get results. Well,
Mr. Mwebaze, we see that the UNATO Secretary General, that is Mr. Philbert Baguma, said as UNATO you had two options. Either to walk away from the negotiating table and continue with the industrial strike, or actually suspend the negotiation, suspend the strike and actually continue the negotiations with the government. What were some of your prior options on the table that you had in mind before actually being given the ultimatum to choose between two options?
When we went to meet His Excellency the President, of course, when the meeting was called, we had high hopes that His Excellency would actually solve the problem in the short run. Those are the hopes that we had. But when we reached the meeting, now the message was that you people, we need to talk and see how we can help the runner. You know, when the two elephants fight, is the grass that suffer, that get a problem. So we said, in order for this grass, the children, not to suffer, to continue suffering, let's silence our tools, let's go back to the negotiating table and discuss. And it is in that spirit of negotiation and agreeing to see how we can really, and what Mr. Baguma is saying there, you cannot negotiate with somebody when you are not talking. We are here, me and you, engaging. If you move out of the studio, if I move out of the studio, how do we discuss and reach a consensus? So we said, in order for the employer not to go out of the negotiating table, let's consider a suspension and we engage in discussions. That's actually that's the reason as to why we set us in the interest of the organization, in the interest of the parents, in the interest of the runners, let us suspend pending the negotiations. And there is will from government. In the fact that His Excellency, who is the fountain of honor, accepting to meet us twice to discuss these issues, really tells you that there is willingness from government to solve our problem.
Actually commit and remunerate the arts teachers is the same way they are remunerating the science teachers. But you, Mr. Olong, what's your take on the fact that the teachers did suspend their strike without actually getting any of without actually getting any of their, how would I put it, demands, without the government actually meeting their demands?
I want first of all to to thank you for the opportunity to give an input on this. I think suspending the strike after 3 weeks of industrial action, it was a wise decision. I want to reiterate what my brother said. It is about making a point, and I think they have put their point, and the employers noted. While we are, I think, in industrial action, one of the things I said was a strike is about getting the attention of the employer. You observe that most time when we go into the strike, you'll find that there is not even talking. You write, they don't respond. You try to meet them, they don't meet you. But when UNATO entered industrial action, you realize that they met the president twice, and even the letters, the correspondence that came, there was some hope, because they told them, well, the priority was here, but you are the next what?
You're coming in line, you're next in line.
Yes, which is positive.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
So, Mr. Museveni, what are some of the achievements? You got out of a 20-day strike.
Now, the most and the biggest achievement we have got is that the government has had and understood our issue. That's the biggest, and to us that is very, very important. Because if we had kept quiet and decided to fold our hands, nobody would have known that there is this disparity in the increment of salaries of teachers. If we had not brought the issue, even the public wouldn't have known that there is a problem. To us, that's the first and the most important achievement. Getting the attention of the government. No, understanding our issue, not getting the attention, understanding what we are talking about. Because if you have been, I've been following, seeing all these stories in the media. The public has also appreciated and seen that what we are doing is secondary. Uganda National Teachers Union, actually, we stand for the teachers, but in a way we stand for the whole country. We are the voice for the whole country. Because whenever we have an industrial action, I remember in 2018 when we had an industrial action, in 2019, the money that we got, the president said I cannot increase the money for teachers alone without increasing police and UPDF. And without increasing other civil servants. In a way, we have fought for everybody. So, actually, the public should appreciate that the work we do is for the benefit of all of us. And secondly, I've been watching the tweets that were coming from the public.
Yes.
Others are asking what has UNAT achieved, what after the 21-day strike, why ABCD, why call now, they were bribed. All these tweets tell you that our public, our population has not understood the spirit of unionism and how labor unions work. And if you ask those people who are tweeting how many of them are in labor unions, you may find that none of them is in a labor union. Because it is only when you are in a labor union that you will understand that a labor union is a negotiator and not a labor outfit. Because this is the employer, your employer, the managers here at CTV, you have to talk to them in a good way. They are the ones who really pay your salary.
Pay you at the end of the day.
So if you have an issue with them and they say, can you please continue to host the show as we are discussing? And then you say, I cannot host the show. That means the viewers outside there will not see what is taking place in the country. So this is the relationship, is employer-employee relationship. It's not a rebel against government. Okay, still to you, Mr. Museveni. Now that the fact that the strike has been lifted and suspended, are teachers back in class? Can you confirm that they are back in class? Yes, I can categorically confirm that all teachers are back in class and the teaching and learning is going on. That much I can confirm, because we issued the statement to all our members yesterday and told them that we have suspended our industrial action, and the reason of suspension is that we are suspending to allow room for negotiation. and negotiations cannot continue when the runners are missing time. So we agreed that one of the issues, one of the deliverables that we agreed on is that in the interest of the runner who lost time during COVID-19, those are were agreements with His Excellency the President. Let's resume teaching and learning with immediate effect. Then we can discuss and see how we can solve your problem, because it is understandable and it has been understood and very well by government. And actually, if you see the tweets from His Excellency the President, he told the country that he has understood the issue of the teachers, and the government is committed to solving this problem. And to us, that is very, very important, and to us, that is a score. And actually, another biggest achievement is that initially, the public didn't know what we stand for. But I can assure you, the whole country now knows how important the teacher is.
Well, now that you just mentioned the fact that the teachers are back in class, what is actually being done to harmonize the situation between the arts teachers and the science teachers? Because from what we understand, for the 3 weeks, there's been some bit of friction between both groups. Yes.
For now, we are appealing to our members to remain calm. We have appealed to our members. We know the pain they are going through because of the selective salary enhancement. We know the humiliation that is being caused by the union, which is my brother head leads. We know all that humiliation that they are telling our members. By the way, these sentiments are not factual. They are factual, and some of them have been presented to the General Secretary of Uganda Professional Science Teachers Union to make sure that they talk to their members to behave in a professional way, to stop attacking their colleagues, because we all stand for the benefit of a runner. Last week I was with his General Secretary, Mr. Mugiga, in some media house, and there were live examples that came to him and they were brought to his attention, how as science teachers were deliberately attacking their colleagues and trying to really trying to psychologically torture them. You see, you can be my driver, you can do this, you can be a BCD, yet to work under the same terms. So we want to call our colleagues really here to prevail over their members and tell them to behave and know that they are working with their colleagues in the same industry. And secondly, I want to call on them that whenever there is a cause of this nature, they should always stand in solidarity with their sister labor union.
Labor union, yes.
They should always come and give in a hand, because today the fire is in our house, tomorrow it will be in their house.
Yours, yes.
So they need to understand that when we are fighting this war and they side with the employer, we are all oppressed on the same side, but they choose to deal with to support oppressed, and tomorrow they don't know what is going to happen. So for us, when they had their industrial action, we stood in solidarity with them, we supported them, and we came and said the government should enhance their salaries because it has negotiated them for them. So we supported them and said, please get your money. We have no problem with you. So I want to call upon them to really change their strategy.
Yes, Mr. Elong, I'm posing the very same question to you. What is being done to harmonize and collaborate the situation between the arts teachers and their science counterparts?
My brother is a lawyer, and Philbert is no longer a teacher.
He's a teacher. A teacher always a teacher.
He is not in class.
He doesn't have to be in class to
they don't have a correct analysis of what goes on in the school.
Yeah.
We had a staff meeting last week, and it was tough because the teachers were speaking a lot, but I can tell you the science teachers all kept quiet, including myself. They expected me to speak, I didn't speak. There's a lot of provocation from the art teachers, but sometimes the story is only picked from the retaliation from a science teacher. I didn't post to you, one MP was trying to, is in a group, a WhatsApp group of art teachers they have created, and is trying to tell them to provoke the science teachers and get the negative reply and send him, so that he finds a way of pinning science teachers' salary. So back to what my brother submitted. When we held an industry action to push for our flight, well, he has said they supported us. We didn't get that support from UNATU. UNATU kept on saying, should they give science teachers money, they are going to go for industrial action. I don't know whether that was the support.
Do you have any record?
Let me submit.
Ask if whether you have any record.
The two petition they presented to the president, it is very clear, the 7-page petition. They were targeting the money that government gave science teachers, to the extent that they led a very, very strong campaign to have that money shared across or stopped. And any genuine human being cannot take that lightly. A human being with feelings, unless you are dead,
oh yes,
you don't have feelings. But if somebody comes targeting your entitlement, remember we are scientists. Government came clearly and said there are 60,000 scientists. Science teachers are 11,000 out of that. Humanity are 320,000. So the number was big, basing on the fact that the country has just come from COVID. And this explanation has been there. What they are explaining to them, it is what government has been saying to all workers, and told them for this year, we are prioritizing what? This group, since it is a smaller group. Then in the subsequent enhancement, we will bring you on board. But these groups, that's why I told you that their strike would not succeed, because one, the timing was wrong. They came at a time when the budgeting process was closed. Then also, it is like going to a restaurant and then people ordering for their share, and then for you sit, and then you wait when all food is eaten and done. Then you start coming that serve me food. So it is like venturing into an impossible one. In my last show I had here, in my closing remark, I think I said, even when they are going to State House, they will not get anything, because I'd already seen that it is what they are daring to reverse is almost impossible. My brother is a lawyer. A budget which has been passed by Parliament, it has been read, and you want to go into that budget, disorganize it. Government is not like a tomato selling company where you just bounce into it, disorganize what they have planned in one day. That means that organ is trying to show government we are stronger than you. So they were daring too much. They were daring too much. I think next they should learn a lesson from it. They should come at the right time, put their complaint at the right time, so that government can listen to them. But science teachers are very peaceful.
Yes, Mr. Mwebase, you have...
talking there, whatever they are putting on them is not right.
Yes, Mr. Mwebase, you have the floor to submit or rebut. Yes.
My brother, he needs to understand one thing. Uganda Professional Science Teachers Union has never sat in any negotiation to negotiate for any money. This money they are getting, it was as a result of the collective bargaining agreement we had with government and a presidential directive. So, I want to clear the air on that issue. You have never sat in any meeting to negotiate for any money. Even in your strike, the one that you had, you are not pushing for a negotiation. You are only pushing for the actualization of a presidential directive. So, to that extent, really, that record should be set clearly. He says they are scientists. Where who is a scientist. I've checked here, there is a law in Uganda that defines who a scientist is. The law is called Uganda National Council for Science and Technology Act. It is an act of parliament in Uganda here. It defines a scientist to include even a social scientist. So when you look at the category of saying that these are science, that Mr. Long and his brothers, they are scientists, you even fail to understand the definition of who a science teacher is. I want to ask him, if he really stands for the science teachers, does he agree that his brothers in primary who teach science and mathematics are scientists? If you choose to speak for the scientists, speak for all. I'm still submitting, my brother. I'm still submitting. So, if you choose to speak for the science teachers, I would request that consider all your brothers. Don't be very selfish. Because we all overseer, including you, Pavin, we studied primary. I'm sure you studied mathematics and science in primary.
Yes, I did.
And it is the science that you studied in primary that helped you to study biology in secondary. That one is with no doubt. It is the math which was carried on to secondary, subsequently the university to become qualified in whatever qualification. So, it is really being very selfish for a labor union to say they stand for a science teacher, pour out a certain section of science according to their definition, who are primary teachers teaching science, they leave them out. And then they move with a certain group flying around with them that these are scientists. We are saying no. If you choose to stand for a science teacher, be considerate to your brothers in primary. And as a labor union, you should stand for the welfare and the socio-economic interest of the teachers who teach science. Not only a handful of people from secondary and we are saying a science. It is primary. Do you agree with me when you have an opportunity that it is the primary that gives the child?
The foundation.
It gives the foundation to the child. If you don't get a foundation from primary, I can tell you and assure you, you will not get the results from somebody reaches secondary. And secondary, a primary teacher who teaches science and maths works and teaches longer hours than somebody who is mathematics, biology, and chemistry in the secondary sector. The hours are longer. These people teach only 2 days a week. But a primary teacher teaches every day, Monday to Friday. So really, let us be fair. But that's wrong. I want you to change it. If you choose to say that these are scientists according to your definition, you put your brothers from primary who are teaching science and mathematics and also say they are sciences, and their sciences should also be increased like yours have been increased. They are the ones who laid the foundation for the scientists you are saying they are teaching.
Yes, okay. Mr. Long.
Yes.
Now, the other issue.
You want to dominate now.
You raised other issues. Madam Moderator, let me finish them.
Let me respond.
What I'm doing is...
Okay, Mr. Moyes, you know...
I'm still responding to... I'm rejoining. I've not finished the issues you raised.
Let me respond.
Let me finish the issue.
Rejoinder, then we will.
This is called rejoinder. I'm rejoining your issues which you raised. You wanted to share their money. Which money? You see, you have misunderstood what we took to the president. We told His Excellency the President, when you are feeding the children, you should feed your children. And we ask them to look food to feed all the children. Are you getting the point? Mm-hmm. When we say that the food available should feed all the children, we are looking at the entire budget of the whole country. We are not looking at the money for science teachers. We know that if it is shared, the increment would be negligible. So we have very many projects, very many wasteful expenditure in government, especially public functions, money that goes for celebrating day, independence, ABCD. That budget can be cut and the money is given to the teachers. And then when you give the teachers, and secondly, what we stand for as Uganda National Teachers Union is not because we want money, we stand for quality education for all of us. Because we know that if Erongo gets 4 million and me, Richard Mwebaza, I get 900,000, I will be very demotivated. He's going to be over demotivated. In a way, the group that I teach, they will not get quality education because of the demotivation which are from the selective salary enhancement. That's the point we are raising to government. Not because we are sent money here. No, quality education for all of us. You go to same class, he's teaching economics, I'm teaching chemistry. He gets 4 million. We all teach for minutes or 120 minutes. 120 minutes. And then he gets 4 million at the end of the month, and then I get 900,000. Do you think I will be motivated to deliver the quality we need once?
Mr. Elo,
that's the point really which we are raising to government.
Mr. Elo, is it true that actually private teachers are not part of the salary enhancement structure for all science teachers in the country? And also, of course, I would love to get your reaction on most of his submissions he made.
You know, his submission is more of allegation, and they are leveling us selfish. But it is on record of what Philbert Baguma, the General Secretary of NATO, saying that they negotiate for their members. As a labor union, even when you declare industrial action, it is only for your members. We have scientists who are in other departments, not only in primary, even in other institutions, like institutions, nurses, colleges, and then clinical. Then we have universities. They have also other platforms where they bring their what?
Their grievances.
Their grievances.
Yes.
UNATO is the one covering primary teachers. And I wonder why they are shifting. They want us to come and scoop those membership to our side.
The question is, you are saying that it's called Uganda Professional
You are the one defining them as scientists.
I'm getting it. So the question I'm asking, which I'm just asking the question. You are called Uganda Professional Science Teachers Union. And you have been here very submitting that UNATO does not represent scientists. Isn't it? That's what you have always said on this show. If you really stand for that, you stand with the scientists, why don't you, in your advocacy, urge government to increase the salaries of a science teacher in the primary and a mathematics teacher? I've never heard you say so.
Now, let me give clarity. All of us have gone to school.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is harder when somebody is a grade 3 circuit to understand this explanation. But I believe that all of us have gone quite A level and above. Specialization in the field of humanity and science begin in A level.
No, that's where there is a problem.
No, let me submit.
The definition of
my brother. You want to talk alone, and I will allow you to talk but allow me to make my submit.
Yes.
I know you have your sentence, but what I'm drawing from is right there in public service. There is nobody under certificate which is categorized as a scientist, apart from nurses in public service. Even our fellow lab technicians, we are just fighting for them. The people who help us in the laboratory, in secondary. These people had sat, they were subscribing to them, they were not pushing grievances, they were being underpaid simply because they have what? Certificate. And they were not raising their concern as what? Scientists. The issue of primary, which we are going to MS and bring them on board in our union, because these ones are the enemies of scientists. They never talked about scientists, anything to do with scientists, they want to cover it. Yet it is on record that worldwide, any country that has developed has reached a point of changing their policy and prioritization.
Yes.
And they ended up prioritizing science, technology, innovation, and research. You can quote China, South Korea, USA, Japan. If you want to catch up with the level of development, and this is a recommendation from UN through Sustainable Development Goal 2030, where they are asking all these middle income and third world countries to prioritize science, technology, innovation, and research to make sure that they produce a critical mass of scientists. But His Excellency the President, as a very visionary leader, has embraced this. But I find sound-minded Ugandans struggling to interpret what the president is trying to. The president is not a scientist. His cabinets, most of them are not scientists. But they have studied out the dynamic at which the world is moving. And they want Uganda to move at the same pace.
The same pace, yes.
But I see even lawyers struggling to understand this. I don't know whether they're doing it because somebody said the law is just about making money. So you swing in the direction where you are benefiting. But my brother, I want to tell you, the prioritizing science, technology, and innovation, if you put yourself on the edge to fight that policy, it will be very hard for you to succeed. And the quicker UNATO embraces it, because UNATO is standing for workers which are in education sector, which is very key in producing this. UNATO has never raised anything positive about scientists. For them, in their fight, they want to see that scientists are treated the same way. But I can tell you, my sister, right now, if you go and do a statistic, you'll find that 80% of students in the A level are offering what? Arts. And only 20% opt for science. UNESCO advised government to increase the intake of science in a university up to 40% at least to cope up with the global development. But I can tell you that government, that was a time when government came and made science compulsory in all level. But up to now, the number of intake of science in a university has not even reached 20%. Why? Because people don't see the value of studying science. So that's why government is putting up again another measure to ensure that they increase, they value scientists, that even the learners, the attitude of learners and their interests start changing at least.
So it's about adding importance to the science.
So it all boils down to the way society looks at what? Seeing ahead. They are just looking at now. But it is not about salary. That's why the president said, these are priority what? Areas that must be addressed even when we have what? Resources. But we have in mind to bring all the other sectors on what? On board. Yes. So I don't want my brothers from UNATO to look far. Let them be visionary. Let them do research. Let them look.
I want to give him research.
The world is moving.
Now, you see, my brother, you have mentioned that countries that have developed, Japan, you are mentioning China, that they have put science
Prioritize science,
as a
technology.
priority. True.
Right now,
But
the
they
phone,
have not
the
done
phone you're using, the pen you're using, the clothes you're putting on, the shoes you're putting on, it is
can I submit?
everything that has designed you to come on this studio. It is science.
What I'm saying is that those countries mentioning, they have not developed science at the expense of humanities. This is what you are forgetting. A country cannot only depend on science. Those countries you are talking about, Japan, you are talking about North Korea, you are talking, they have not.
And
excuse me.
First listen. Not doing that.
First listen. It has not done so at the expense of arts. Science. This is why we are saying that. You remember when I came here, I took you through the CBA. A science teacher was supposed to earn 6 million in the CBA that we signed in 2018, and a nurse teacher was supposed to earn 5.4. You see a difference of 600,000. That is what we call developing, prioritizing science, not at the expense of arts. But if you choose to give this one 4 million, this one 900,000, that means you are promoting science at the expense of arts. I get it. So in a way, you are not a spokesperson of government, unless you are turning into an
no.
Now, I'm still submitting what you say.
You are only framing lies.
If I could, they are not. I'm only responding to what you said. So these countries, you need to go back and check records. These countries have not prioritized the science at the expense of arts. They are moving. They are complementary, moving together. Secondly, in 1990, government of Uganda passed a law, which I have read to you. And I want to ask my brother when he leaves the studio to go and look for this law. It is called Uganda National Council for Science and Technology Act 1990. Defines the field of science and technology to include social science and humanities. That's a definition of who a scientist is. Meaning that these people knew that you cannot only front chemistry and biology as those people to be scientists. They know that even these other fields, these ones are also scientists. And secondly, the definition of who is a scientist and who is not a scientist, I want to ask him, where does he get that definition from? Who, according to who?
It is you defining.
According to who? I know.
Who a scientist
No,
is.
I've given him.
I've given him.
And I want to. When I brought the primary teachers on board, and you are saying that by qualification, by training, they are not trained as scientists. That was your submission, and that's where I'm coming from. So, if you read this definition here, you see everything is on record here. When you read the Uganda National Council for Science and Technology Act, defines the field of science and technology to include social science and humanities. So really, let's see, try to get some facts. When you say that by training, the other one is not a scientist. No.
Okay.
Yes.
You are not a scientist by training.
Government.
And actually, let me clarify this. I want to give an example of a physics teacher. Mr. Rong, if you are teaching physics, in physics there's what we call Cartesian theory. I don't know what subjects you teach. If you teach that theory, are you the innovator of that theory? Or you are just helping somebody to understand somebody's theory? A scientist is somebody who, like Professor Ogwang of Covidics, who sits in the lab and comes up with a solution to a problem. We are proudly saying that we have science teachers in schools, but you find schools, we are still buying liquid soap when we have science teachers in schools. Are those scientists? A scientist is somebody. Let me finish. A scientist is somebody who finds a solution to human problem. That is what we call a scientist. Somebody who will sit down here.
Let me demystify his lies.
Let me finish.
Those are lies they are cooking in the teacher's house.
A scientist is somebody. I've given an example of Professor Ogwang of Covidics, who will sit down and say, we have a problem of COVID-19. What do? He rushes to the laboratory. When he rushes to the laboratory, he comes up with a solution. And actually, initially, the plan of government to consider scientists were innovators.
How about the person who taught you? Because I see you're saying there are teachers before
No,
science.
these ones are transmitter of knowledge, of people's knowledge.
Mr. Elo, what do you have to say about that?
Okay, let me submit.
Transmitters of people's theory.
Council,
Not
be
scientists.
civil. Let me tell you, be civil.
Yes.
One, the other day he told me he will not allow me to coach him law because he's a lawyer. Now I'm a teacher. He's pretending to be more of what?
I've researched.
Science.
I've researched.
If you go to
I'm basing on research.
that is a biased research. It is biased research.
This is research.
I want you to
according
come
to the national.
First, keep quiet. Keep quiet. I want you to come to school, and I will take you to our laboratory, and you will see the research and the teaching of science.
Yes.
I will take you to my chemistry. You see what they are forgetting. You see these guys and the people in teachers' house, the leaders of teachers' house.
Don't be personal.
No,
raise
please.
issues.
Let me say
Let him
it.
his point.
Raise
Yes,
issues.
let him
Because they are
set
the
his
one
point.
raising, he's picking them from his bosses.
No.
We have
My
had it
friend,
on
I'm a
other
lawyer.
platform.
I speak from
And
the point
I want to clarify on that. The leaders in the teachers' house are from primary, where they don't teach science
This is
practically.
research.
Practically,
They
yes.
don't teach science practically. But from secondary, we teach science practically. Every secondary school has a laboratory for chemistry, biology, and physics,
Yes.
and even agriculture. We have those materials there. Myself, I have taught. I'm a chemistry teacher. I have taught my students. I always teach them how to produce what shop. It is in the syllabus. It is in the syllabus.
Yes.
In 2015, the president visited our school. We had a lot of innovation. We had produced liquid soap. We made students to do it themselves, and the president went and looked at it. So science teachers are doing a lot, but these people are preaching lies to the nation.
Yeah.
And what is coming, since we have now created our union, we are going to come up with an innovation there and display it in Kololo. And you will see what is going on in second.
For the science teachers.
Because what they are preaching is blackmail. They have run away from science. They don't know what takes place in the teaching of science. We teach those laws,
Let me ask
and
you.
then later
Well,
we
Mr.
prepare them
Can I
for
ask him a
critical
simple
thinking.
question?
No, please. No. We are kind of running out of time. So I'm going to ask Mr. Elong. In one of your tweets, you thanked His Excellency H.E Museveni for actually increasing the salaries of science teachers. Have the salary structures been provided? Is it certain that for sure the science teachers will be getting this money in this July?
I want to tell the nation and the country that the salary structure for this financial year, we have talked to public service, it is in place. What had not been done, it was signed already. By the way, it was signed in June. Cabinet approved it. The pay enhancement of scientists across board, Cabinet already approved. Even the structure is already approved. The PS has signed it. They were just waiting because by law they are supposed to release it in the first week of the financial year. And
yes.
we are in that first week. They are going to release it. So those lies that they are negotiating, nothing is going to change.
So the teachers will receive that money this month?
Science teachers are going to receive their 4 million and 3 million effective this financial year. Let them be rest assured.
Well, Mr. Moyabaze, considering that the students have lost about 3 weeks of intentional learning, how do you hope to bridge that gap for them?
But before I go to that, allow me just 1 second.
Okay, please go ahead.
There's something I want to clarify. By training, I'm a lawyer, and I speak from an informed and researched point of view. The submissions I'm making on this show are based on research and informed point of view, Mr. Rong. I've given you the National Technology Act, which defines who a scientist is. And initially, the plan of government, if you look at the cabinet paper, the plan of government to consider scientists were not these people who transmit the knowledge of others to students. It was to consider the innovators.
Government
Let me
has a
finish.
list of scientists.
Excuse me, I'm submitting.
Government has a list of scientists in the
submitting.
public service. What is
If I
putting
could
is a
finish.
lie.
If I
That's
could
why
finish.
primary teachers are not
If I could
considered as
finish.
scientists.
Okay.
Let him go and ask for that list.
If I could finish.
Public service has a list of scientists.
No.
And that is what government
when
is
you are
following.
speaking, I kept
It's
quiet.
okay, please,
You are
let's
actually,
Don't
submit.
mislead the
Do
country.
submit.
You are
Submit.
disrupting.
Don't mislead the country.
You are disrupting my subject.
Don't mislead the
So-
country.
Please do submit.
Government has
The
a
point
list
I'm
of
saying-
Mr. Long,
scientists.
let's get the conversation
No, he's
back on
giving
track.
lies.
Yes, even if
Government
government
has the list of
even
scientists,
if government has the
and
list,
is aware of it.
even if the
And
government
it does not include people under the category of
why don't you
primary
let me?
of
Why
U7.
don't you let me use
U7.
my minutes?
Yes, please.
Why don't you let me
You're
Mr.
misleading the country.
If I'm misleading, you have the opportunity to undo. When I
Talk to
finish.
public service to include that group, but
Now,
don't push
the
a
fact
group
that,
that government
the fact
has not
that
recognized.
the fact that you see, for him, this is where the difference is. Recognition and who a scientist is. Because for him, he thinks you're a scientist by recognition. And me, I'm saying you are a scientist by making. That is where there is a difference where we differ. I'm saying you are a scientist by making, like Professor Ogwang of Covidex. You are an innovator.
He has,
But
he
not-
has clarified on that. He
And
has
so
helped his
there's a
students.
difference between being categorized as a scientist and actually whether you are a scientist. You can be called a lawyer when actually you are not. Government can choose to come up with a law and they say Vincent Wrong is a lawyer when he is not. When he doesn't any aspects and attributes of being a lawyer. So the scientist whom the government had initially thought of was an innovator, somebody who comes up with an innovation.
Yes.
And when he comes up
You
with
are
an
not
innovation,
government,
you have
my
like this
brother.
phone here. You come up and you innovate, you come up with an app that can help CTV to do something. That one is a scientist. But this one here, who teaches students that Kerson theory is like DC, ABCD, when you do like DC and then you come up with this, you are not a scientist.
Mr.
You are
Mwebase,
just a
Mr.
transmitter.
I doubt
You are
his
just a
legal
transmitter.
capacity.
You are just a
That
transmitter
reasoning.
of that knowledge.
Mr.
A
Mwebase.
transmitter of that knowledge, but you are not a scientist.
Okay, Mr. Mwebase, let's get back to the issue of compensating.
The issue of compensation.
Yeah, the students' time.
The issue of compensation, we know, and I said here on this show before, that industrial actions, we know we don't take pressure in industrial actions. And what we have been really fighting for is not even for helping a teacher, one per se.
Yeah.
It is helping the learner and the parent. So for a teacher really to get quality to give quality education, the learner must have a good teacher. So we know that the time that which has been lost, we are going to try and see how we can catch up and add some more time to see how students and learners can really catch up. But what I want the parents to know and the people is that really this fight is not about a teacher, it's about them. Because it is a good teacher that will impact quality in a learner. It is a good teacher that will make a lawyer like me. It is a good teacher that will make a teacher like him. So that is what we are asking the parents to understand. And second, these issues of saying we have been bribed, we have been done what? No. Labor unions don't work, push like rebel outfits. We work in the spirit of negotiation. We work in the spirit of consultation. And when you consult,
Well, Mr.
you
Elong.
come back and see how you can really solve the problem.
Well, Mr. Elong, as we wind up, do you see both factions, that is, teachers and the science teachers actually coexisting without split staff rooms?
What UNATO is presenting, as I conclude, not a picture of what is in school.
What has you not presented?
They are presenting like the staff room splitted. I told you we just had a meeting, and in our every staff, every school has a staff WhatsApp group, which has both group, science and arts, and the people have been communicating. Only that UNATO has for long sat on the issue of teachers.
Which teachers?
And the art teachers have lost confidence in them. There has been, in their platform right now, there is a massive exodus. People are leaving the platform.
Are you on those platforms?
The teachers are not dividing, but they have lost confidence in their the UNATO, how UNATO has handled their issues, and they feel that their voices have been suffocated. Even coming now, it was just more of seeing that science teachers have succeeded, and they wanted also to put up a statement. But to think that UNATO has been mining about the teachers' issues, I think anybody can tell. From 2018, they are carrying an agreement which was not fully signed, and taking to government to implement. You wonder what has happened in between 2018 to 2022.
I know.
That they bring the issue of COVID, but
there was an increment in 2019.
COVID, but I can tell you that it is not enough justification, because there are other groups like university, judiciary that got salary increment.
Can I ask him a question?
No, Mr. Mwebase, we're out of time. In fact, I need
UNATO is just panicking, and I want to tell the nation and the art teachers that what I had said last time, just to use the right platform to negotiate. Government is going to give you what you want.
Ask for, yes. Mr. Mwebase, please, your final closing remarks to the government,
now,
to the public, to teachers.
What I want to clarify is that the money is proud of that is going to receive was negotiated by us. And the Uganda National Teachers Union has never negotiated anything for its members. This one is on record. They are going to get it because of a presidential
directive. Okay.
That's the what the public needs to know about it.
Mr. Elong, your closing remarks?
I thought he had closed. Now, secondly, the issue of saying that art teachers are doing an is talking. You see, the problem is our brothers. They like poking their nose in people's business. How do you know? Are you in Uganda National Teachers Union for you to claim that members on our platforms, members are doing that? So that is poking your nose in our business, which we don't want. Can you please? What I want to tell the public is that we stand for every teacher. Uganda National Teachers Union represents all, be it science, be it arts, be it primary, be it VTVET, be it everybody. And in our structures, at the National Executive Council, we have representative VTVET, we have science teachers, we have ABC. The next even carry here all their names here, you see them.
Absolutely, yes. Mr. Elong, your final remarks as we wrap up the show.
My final remark is for science teachers to work, not to listen to insult from UNATO, but to work together with art teachers and support them. And also I want to appeal to the art teachers to support the science teachers' salary enhancement, because it has set a base for their salary also to be increased.
Yes.
The people want to knock out salary for science teachers, don't waste teachers well, because we have got information. Even some of them in the unions,
science teachers should support the arts salary?
I want to say they are proprietors of private schools, and they are fearing that teachers will leave their business, so because they have been paying them little money. So art teachers support the science teachers, leave these guys who want to put teachers down, and we will support you in the next subsequent enhancement to ensure that your salaries also is raised.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And we've come to the end of this discussion. I've been sitting down with Mr. Elong Vincent and Mr. Mwebase Richard. And what I have to say about this is that, of course, teachers are back in class today, as of today, they're in classes. And of course, CTV is going to be following how this unfolds for the teachers, the motivation, and how the students are actually going to benefit from this after losing out on 3 weeks of intentional learning. My name is Priva Elibas. Coming up is our views. Good morning.
The big debate is back. Bigger, bolder, reloaded. Whether it is securing your future, holding fast to the people power, or the promise of a one Uganda, one thing is certain. The big debate is on.
So why don't you respect the memories of Dr. Scottis?
We have already addressed the issue of increment.
How many people have ever been convicted?
So now why are they asking for the statement?
Follow mainstream conversations on current affairs and leading policy debates in Uganda.
It is in our interest to arrest very nicely.
Right here on The Big Debate.
Let me finalize.
We have all gone to
I was
school.
quiet.
Let him just make
I was
one
quiet.
point.
It's a hard-hitting talk show on development issues in the political and social-economic arena. Discussions that inform policy and trigger high-level dialogue. Now showing on CTV. Don't blink.
Don, Rajo Gela Mazina Gentima. Gochimani Tino Temekira.
Every time it clocks 11 a.m. on CTV, we bring you the only certified morning party, the branch request.
So I would love to listen to everything. Then you put your hand, go work.
If you believe it, say amen. If you believe it, say amen.
I would like to listen to Toast by Coffee.
Shiba.
Yes.
So my name is Star Bunting.
Now showing on CTV. Don't blink. CTV is now on StarTimes. You can now catch all your favorite programs, our daily comprehensive news bulletins, and so much more on StarTimes channel number 248. Stay tuned for a world of endless possibilities. CTV. Don't blink. Love sports? We do too. We got you covered. The Sports Dish, your daily lunchtime sports show that serves the intrigue, breaks down the act, and gives you an in-depth analysis of the odds. Who's going up? Who's going down? Catch all the thrilling action right here on the Sports Dish with Clive Chazé. Now showing on CTV. Don't blink. CTV is now on StarTimes. You can now catch all your favorite programs, our daily comprehensive news bulletins, and so much more on StarTimes channel number 248. Stay tuned for a world of possibilities. CTV. Don't blink.
We do thank you for keeping it right on Sunrise at Sea. And of course, we'll welcome you back from that heated argument that you had with Priva Elibas in regard to the arts teachers that called off their industrial action. Of course, that is in regard to the strike, in regard to raising their salaries. Right about now, we switch gears and it's time for Our Views, which is probably your best segment. And what we do here is we give our reactions as to what we think about different real life situations. Joining me this morning, of course, other ladies. To my left is none other than Priva Elibas, and to my right, I have Agi Uwase as well as Sarah Apollo. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Good morning.
Are you excited? Are you happy?
Oh, yes.
Are you well? You know, very many times I ask people, are you okay? And you say, yeah, we're okay. You say, good morning, good morning. It has become like a throwaway phrase. But when I ask, are you okay? Are you okay, Priva?
Yes, I'm not going to just do the generic, how are you? I'm okay. Yeah,
you
I'm
are
really
okay.
Fine. Yes,
are you mentally okay? Sarah, are you okay?
I'm very fine.
That's very interesting. Aggie, are you okay?
Do you want my blunt opinion?
Yes, of course. That's why I'm asking. Now you see what these are the things that are talking. Are you
the
okay?
story for the press?
Story for another day.
Okay. Well, it's very important, and what I did here is very intentional. It's very important that you learn to ask the people that you work with, or the people that you stay with, or even your friends. Learn to ask people, "Are you okay?" You'll be surprised to find out the things that people are going through. Anyway, it's time for the conversation of the day, and today we're going to be looking at a question that we did post on our Twitter handle at CTV Uganda, and we asked, is it true that women hold their men to the same standards as their fathers? And I kid you not, the bond between a father and a daughter is something that even science has failed to explain. Very many daughters, very many girls find themselves inclined to their fathers, while actually boys find themselves inclined to their mothers. So ladies, my first question is it true that women hold their men to the same standards as their fathers?
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Now for me, I may not have a practical point to put across because I did not have the chance I didn't have the chance to grow up with my father, but I don't think it's like that, like, oh, I have to compare the next person that I'm with in a relationship with what my father was or any other father figure in my life at the moment. I don't believe it works like that. You're your own individual, you experience life differently. It's not like you're always home 24/7. You have friends, you're in a society, you're at school. So through all that lifetime, by the time you get to an age where you're having relationships with people, so many factors have played into that. It's not even about, what your father is doing or how your father is treating you. So for me, I do not think that women actually hold their partners or their men to the same standard as their fathers. At least I do. Yes, because so many factors play into it.
Okay.
Yes, you're not just at home 24/7. You have friends, you go to school, you go to uni, you go to work. So many factors play into how your relationship works, not necessarily about your parents.
So what do the rest of the ladies think?
For me, I think it's like 30%, especially for women who have grown up with very loving, present fathers who have treated them like queens, like princesses. You don't want to lose that. You still want, to have, who doesn't want to be treated like that? So you find such ladies, even eventually when they are dating, they want someone who treats them the exact way, who adores them, who, takes them, who treats them like a princess, like the way their father treats them. But yeah, What Priva said is actually true. At the end of the day, we are different people. You don't expect, you know, the other person that you're dating to be exactly like your father. It doesn't happen. You can only be lucky to find someone who's like your father. That is where compromise comes in. On the other hand, I do believe that even our parents, even our fathers, did have their shortcomings. I grew up with a father, but until this day, I cannot tell you that I want to date or to marry a man who's like my dad. No, there are those few character traits, beautiful things about him that I definitely would want my man to have, but I cannot hold it all up for my partner to treat me exactly like my father treated me. It has worked out for some people, and here's the thing. The moment you put your mind to that, especially if you've grown up in that kind of princess kind of love and you want your husband to treat you that way, you'll be disappointed in the end. They may put on a show to try and get you, but at the end of the day, the times will come when there are difficulties. I mean, your father will even treat you still like a princess even when there are some very difficult things going on. It won't happen with your husband. Now you are mature people and you have to, you know, approach situations head on, maturely and rationally. So you might be disappointed in the end. However, for those who want the princess treatment like, you know, their fathers treated, not that I'm saying that men shouldn't treat their women well, but do not hold men, you know, at ransom that they have to treat you the way your fathers treated you. Yeah.
Okay, Sarah, what do you think?
I have a more wholesome overview or opinion to this. I think our relationships with our parents set the precedent or premise to which we have other relationships later on in our lives. Because our parents are our first point of contact with human beings. They are the people who teach us how to react to affection, how to give affection, how to love, how to, you know, express it, how to love. So if you grow up in an environment where you are lacking in this area or are not given in these things, it's going to later manifest in your life, and you'll find yourself in a pattern picking people who either people who either are who are familiar to this kind of upbringing that you have, or if you're intentional about it or realize that you did not like that, you will further drift away from that. Do you understand what I mean? So our relationships with our fathers, say daughters, or even sons, let's not exclude them. Our relationships with our parents set the precedent for our other relationships. So if you find yourself growing up in a family where you were pampered and loved, chances are that is your idea of love. So you will want to be pampered by your partner and loved. If you grew up in an environment where, say, you were neglected, you will find yourself clinging on to people. It will start manifesting. You'll have attachment issues. You'll be very clingy. You'll be very needy. You'll be very, you know, wanting of people's validation. But then again, there are chances, like I said in the beginning, where you will just drift away on the opposite side and say that I grew up being neglected. So anybody who neglects me, even if you ignore, blue tick me one time like this,
it's over.
It is over. You understand? So I absolutely do believe that our relationships with our parents do affect us, and we are going to go on to find partners quite similar, whether consciously or subconsciously, as our parents.
Okay, so in my opinion, when you ask me the question that is it true that women hold the same standards, women hold men to the same standards as their fathers, I would definitely say yes. I would say yes because I myself, I practice it. My father all my life, and I do not mean to brag, but first of all, I am glad that I have grown up with a present father, both emotionally and physically and mentally. He has given me all the love I desire in the world. So even when I am looking out for a partner to date, I do not expect less. However, there is a time when I dated this young man and we had a conflict, and I told him, my idea of love is the idea of love that my father put in my head. Because you see, many times we do not agree with this, but the truth of the matter is that the first love that you actually get, especially when it comes to father-daughter, your first love is actually your dad. For me, my first love is my father. So I do not expect to be treated less. However, this young man boldly told me that, you know what, Shivan, I cannot handle you anymore. If you feel that you want to be treated, if you want me to treat you like the way your dad treated you, then go date your dad. And I found that very insulting and annoying. However, there is no reason as to why I should settle for less. If he felt, and I told him, if you feel that you cannot handle me and treat me the way I deserve to be treated, then I'm going to excuse myself from this equation. And I did, and I'm happy now. I'm glad I did. I think as women, we should stop settling for less just because a man come up and say, your idea of love, I cannot keep up with it. If you cannot keep up with a woman's idea of love, then walk out of the relationship. However, I would also like to ask a question. Is it wrong for a woman to want to be treated a certain way by their partner, especially according to the way their dads treated them? But I have a video from Meg Mika that I would like you to take a look at.
Tell girls all the time, we gravitate towards what we know, not what we want. We repeat what we know, not what we want. And the reason girls tend to marry somebody with very similar characteristics as their father is because they get so used to relating to a man they love in a certain way, and they don't know another way to do it, and it's subconscious, and so they just fold themselves back into that type of relationship because it's familiar. It's so deeply rooted in them. And that's why, you know, many girls who have been abused as youngsters by their dad end up marrying abusers because that's all they know. Even though consciously they hate it and they know they don't want it. I can't tell you how many girls I've sat with in my office say, I'll never marry a man like my dad. And then I got a wedding invitation about 5 years later, and there he is. You know, she's marrying her dad at the front of the altar.
That is Meg Mika right there, and US, she is the best-selling author, actually ranked at number 10. And those words, when I listened,
very questionable.
Yeah, very questionable. When I listened to Meg Mika, I realized in a way where we subconsciously or consciously see it, whatever we grow up seeing in our homes is what we sort of expect even when we go to our partners' homes. However, please, ladies, weigh in that particular video.
Oh my God.
Yes. Not from me. I'll tell you for sure that as you grow older, you start to have a mind of your own. Yes. There is no, yes, you grow up in a setting where that lady was saying you gravitate towards what you know, not what you want. I, for one, I'll tell you, I gravitate towards what I want. What I grew up seeing, I mean, as you get older, you actually you start finding fault in certain things. If you grew up with an abusive father, how on earth would you want to end up with an abusive partner? I mean, you know the bad things that come with that.
But you know that there are people, you know that there are women who have grown up with abusive fathers and end up going for partners that are abusive. And for them, that is the kind of love they have.
Because they are toxic people. Because they're toxic and they love toxicity. That is why even they say even in dating, you find people dating in patterns. You're dating a toxic partner, and then you find a partner who is actually a very good person, and you're like, oh no, this is actually boring. You head on to a toxic person because that is who you are. But if you grow up in a violent setting, a setting without love, a setting without all the things that you want, you definitely want in the future to have exactly what you would want.
Is it wrong for a woman to say that, hey, I am dating you, I expect you to treat me either the way my dad treated me or even more?
Well, at the end of the day, it's up to you. If that's what you want, then find someone who can treat you that way. The only problem is do not put your expectations on someone who is not willing to do what you want them to do. That is where you go wrong.
Okay? Siobhan, after watching that video, I think for me what I picked from that video is the fact that she's almost saying people don't have a mind of their own.
Yeah,
like you're going to stay a child. That's what I'm getting from it. That's my opinion.
Okay.
It's like from the beginning, you're still a child. Even in your adulthood life, you're still a child. You expect to be guided. You expect to be, told what to do. You expect everything to just basically be done for you. Sometimes you have to sit down and actually have a mind of your own. Just like Aggie put it, how are you going to grow up in a violent family and you gravitate towards a violent man? How can you not want better for yourself? Because you see, you're advancing, yes, we want better, my dad grew up treating me like this and that, but at the end of the day,
just to get you right, and for the viewer's sake, are you trying to say that the numbers lie? Because statistics show that many cases, for women, for ladies, for little girls that have grown up either with abusive fathers, that is the kind of life they have lived. You would find them with partners that are toxic and they will remain comfortable in that sort of relationship. But you will find for girls that have grown up with loving fathers or loving parents will gravitate towards partners that actually appreciate them. Are you
I'll speak from my experience. Yes, I'm going to contradict it because I'm going to speak from my experience. I don't know what is happening out there. I don't know what sampling method was used to arrive to that conclusion, but what I know for sure, as an adult, you know what you want for yourself. Not about, you know, you've grown up seeing this person do this and do that, and then you carry on the same thing. Because you see, if we are to say, treat me the same way my dad has been treating me, then you're also going to ask your partner to even do the bad things your dad was doing to you, because I don't think your dad is an angel.
Perfect.
Can
I say something? What she said in that video is we gravitate to what we know. Familiarity. Again, it takes me back to my point. Our first relationships are with our parents. So again, let me give you an example. If you grew up in a home where you are neglected, you will either find yourself in a position where you find yourself subconsciously repeating that pattern because you think that neglect is probably a form of love. You start asking yourself questions like, maybe I'm overreacting, maybe I'm being too needy, maybe I need to be a little more patient. These are things that are subconsciously eating at you. You're not intentionally choosing it, and you think your mind is tricking you into thinking that it's not what you're choosing, but it is what is manifesting in your life. Do you understand what I mean? When you grow up in a home where you see your mother taking on abuse and she's still sticking into that marriage, later on many times you'll find young girls, when they get into marriages of their own, they will also hang in there and say, but mom hung in there. This is what a relationship is supposed to be. Let me give you an example. We have had women who are even advised. We hear Sengas telling women it is a woman's role to be the glue in the family.
Is that society or is that parents?
Let me listen. Parents are society. Family is the foundation of society. Do you understand? The thing is here is, let me give an example. If you grew up in a home where you did not have your father present, all right, it is going to manifest in your life to a point where you grow up to be a strong, independent woman who does not deserve. Let me finish my explanation. You grow up to be a woman who is independent of her mind, who feels that I don't need a man, I can still survive regardless, because you grew up without and you survived, or you saw people in your life surviving without it. So you subconsciously mimic you subconsciously mimic what is familiar to you. Just like for you, Shivan, you grew up in a family, your father was present, and you don't want anything less than that for yourself moving on in future. Do you understand? So that may be harmful to you in one way or the other. Do you understand? Where you want to hold a man in your life at the same standard, and yet you should be allowing yourself to learn, to grow, to upgrade, and take what you had and upgrade that experience to something else better. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, I do get what you mean. But
and you find yourself in a situation where you may find a partner. How this can also be detrimental to you in another way is that you may find yourself with a partner who you love very dearly, and you will try to mold that man into what you consider is love from a man. Do you understand what I mean?
Two sides to the coin of, you know, making sure that your ideal man treats you the way your father did. However, Priva, you seem to disagree with what Sarah had to say. So would you say that girls with daddy issues, and what girls with daddy issues are, of course this particular phrase has used in a very toxic way, but often has either been abandoned or neglected by her father, physically or mentally abused. So would you say that girls with daddy issues have relationships that could fail?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Absolutely not. You have a mind of your own. You're going to get into that relationship as an adult. It has nothing to do with what your father is or what your mother did or anything like that.
If your father abandoned you, imagine a scenario where a father has abandoned a little girl, and finally she gets into a relationship. That is when attachment styles come in. That is when you find ladies in a relationship clinging onto a man.
Listen, I'll speak from experience. I'll speak from experience. I'll speak from experience, Shivan. I did not grow up with a father, but let me tell you that I have a mind of my own. I know what I want. Has nothing to do with what my mother experienced or the people around me, what they're doing.
It actually does.
Just a minute.
It does. It actually does.
Unless you want to diagnose me with something, but it doesn't.
No. I just want to put it into context, because your father is late. Now that's a big, because also there are different types of dad. First of all, there is the Disney dad, and the Disney dad is the all-inclusive dad who is at every event and everything that concerns their child. Then apparently there is a hollow dad, and that is a dad who is in a home but is emotionally disconnected. Then we also have a stone cold dad who is very aggressive and quick to throw insults and even a punch. Then we have a peekaboo dad, and constant, that is someone who is constantly in and out of the child's life. Yeah. Then we have a hide and seek dad. Hide and seek dad, family is constantly wondering, where has he gone to? Mommy, did you see dad? Did he come this weekend? However, when it comes to dads that have passed on, for that is understandable. What we are talking about is dads that are still alive and they choose to be absent from their daughters' lives. Let's not deny that this actually affect those relationships in a way or the other.
I want to differ in one thing. You talked about girls who have daddy issues are always clingy. I don't know, onto men. I will tell you that
it manifests in different ways.
I have met multiple ladies. I don't want to mention them. I have met multiple ladies who have actually grown up in very loving families. You know, dad's present and all princess kind of treatment, but they are so clingy. Like you have no idea, even more than people who didn't grow up with fathers. So this, at the end of the day, it's about you as an individual. You have, when you grow up, try to find yourself and what you want. Do not hold on to how your father treated you, how your family. Because may
I please say something? May I please just use 10 seconds to say this? Can I just use 10 seconds to say this? Whether you like it or not, our relationships with our parents affect our lives. In positive ways, in negative ways, and it's going to manifest in different ways. All your insecurities are a result of your relationships with your parents. Whether they were present, your insecurities, your self-esteem, your
conversation that we had for you. Ladies, that winds up the conversation that we had for you this morning on Obvious. However, the conversation does continue on our social media handles, and we shall be doing small videos in regard to what we think about this particular matter. But for me, I shall not settle for less. I expect my man to treat me either the way my dad has treated me or even more. If you cannot agree to that standard, please move on to the next woman. And that winds up what I had for you. Keep watching Sunrise at Sea.
Well, we've come to the end of the show. It's just one final thing that I have to say. Do not stress our men by trying to hold them on the same standards as your fathers. It just does not work like that. It doesn't work like that.
It's called not settling for less.
No, do not stress them. Do not hold them to the same standards as your fathers, because at the end of the day, they will never be your fathers. So get into your own person and figure out what you need. Well, like Shivan mentioned, the conversation continues on our social media platforms. That is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at CTV Uganda. My name is Priva Elibas. Good morning.